Hello, everyone. Today is Monday, June 22nd, 2026, and you have joined Ask a Care Navigator, Mondays with Maureen. Hello, everyone. My name is Maureen Williams, and I'm the Director of Care Navigation here at Four Seasons, the Care You Trust. And we try to create this space on most Mondays to talk about issues associated with living well and aging well, and perhaps how Four Seasons may be of service. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can drop them into the comments box from the platform from which you are viewing, be it YouTube or Facebook. You can call us 866-466-9734, or please go to our webpage, which is fourseasonscare.org. And please spell out the number 4, FOURSEASONSCARE.org. We do receive your inquiries and we appreciate it very much. We're happy to help. Now, I am particularly grateful to the Van Winkle Law Firm for serving as the title sponsor for this program, Ask a Care Navigator, Mondays with Maureen. The Van Winkle Law Firm is one of the most well-established and well-respected law firms in North Carolina, providing exceptional legal representation to individuals, families, and businesses in personal, commercial, business, and estate planning matters. If you want more information or to schedule a consultation, please go to the Van Winkle Law Firm website, which is www.vwlawfirm.com, www.vwlawfirm.com, and get more information. And thank you very much. Well, today is my at least annual show and tell of how to create a go bag, preparing for the unexpected, a trip to the emergency room. I had one last week, completely unexpected, very sudden, and I wasn't prepared. I was smart. I did put on some clean clothes and grabbed my ID and my insurance card, which I gave to my husband. But other than that, that's all I took. So let's learn some lessons from me, but it's also just a good practice. And many people ask me about this, and they just keep what they call a go bag ready to go in the closet just so they can grab and go. There's only one thing that needs to be added, and I'll tell you what that is as we go along. And I actually have I have a handout for this. So if you'd like this, please email us, and we'll be glad to email a copy of this back to you. I just want to get the word out, particularly people who are solo agers out there who don't have people to run back and forth at their beck and call, and who might be living in this area or anywhere else, just kind of alone, period, literally not having a lot of friends in the community for whatever reason. It's important to be prepared to grab and go. So we're going to create a go bag today based on this list called Preparing for the Unexpected Trip to the Emergency Room. So I've got a bag that can just sit in a closet. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to be this big. I just grabbed this because I love my Four Seasons bag. And so that way I can just grab it and go. First things first that we're going to put in the bag is a change of clothing. And I've just grabbed a t-shirt and some tights that can just go very quickly. Some leggings that can go in there very quickly. That can go. Of course, we would want to include underwear, one set of underwear, and or adult briefs if that is what you use and if what you wear. They may not be available in an emergency room, y'all. So grab those and go. You want to have some moist hand wipes or hand sanitizer, which I seem to have forgotten, but it's important to put those in there because those aren't always available in emergency rooms either. You want to have a plastic bag to put in soiled clothing and or adult briefs. You can bring an old grocery bag, plastic one if you want. I kind of like these that are the big ones that are Ziplocs because if something's really soiled, you can just put it in there. So sometimes I have clients just, you can put your clothes in there too, dry, or certainly if they get soiled, you can put those in there. And then sometimes people encourage you to bring some reassuring or comforting objects. And some of you know I had some fun with rubber ducks a few years ago. All right. One of the last things you're going to throw into your go bag is your cell phone. Okay. But what I encourage everybody to do is to keep a cell phone charger in your bag already. They're cheap enough. to just have your own cell phone charger. And this one has a really long cord for me. My husband brought that for me to the emergency room last week, and it has a nice long cord, because there's nothing more frustrating not to be able to get in touch with anyone you know, not to have all your phone numbers accessible. And of course, if you don't carry a cell phone, make a list with all your contact information. We'll get to that. But it's really frustrating to have a cell phone and not be able to use it because the battery has died, or to ask the staff to quick charge your phone for you, hoping that they have a charger available. Just leave the charger in the bag, but include your cell phone. That's going to be the last thing you're going to put in as you go out the door. It's the only thing that's not going to be left in there. Okay. Now, one more thing. You want to have in the bag at least 2 ICE contacts, which means in case of emergency, at least 2 labeled ICE. And believe it or not, emergency providers know how to get access to that information without having your contact, your password. So, and that's a different conversation. There are ways to make sure that your medical information is quickly accessible, and to have 2 in case of emergency contacts there. Now, there's some other things, some lists of things, and I'm just going to do some show and tell cards to tell you what they are. You want to have an updated medical history. Just keep it. It can be handwritten, it can be typed up, but a written history of any major medical circumstances you've had, or major surgeries you have, or even minor surgeries, or sometimes even dental surgeries. Keep an updated medical history, okay? A list of allergies and your medications and supplements with dosing information. I can't tell you how important that is. Make sure you have a list of your active and current allergies, and I was able to repeat mine very quickly, and a list of your medications along with supplements and the correct doses. I'm in and out of this healthcare system on a regular basis for my various medical appointments, and my medication list in that emergency room was not correct. I had to completely correct it. There were old things on there. In fact, someone just gave me a list and I just marked them off. It's really important to have a list of your current medications, including supplements and the dosing. What's the dosage of it and when you take it? Really important. So put that list in there. A document that contains other information as well. Your contact information for your doctors, their names and phone numbers and what they do. Primary care, endocrinology, gynecology, whatever. Have a list of names and their contact information. So important on that list. You want to have a list, or on this other list, names of key family members and their phone numbers. Even if they're overseas, list that information. It's really important. I've worked with a client whose daughter was in the United Kingdom, and of course, she didn't have a direct phone number here, but we knew how to reach her through WhatsApp. Share that information, okay? Perhaps the name of your faith community leader on that list. For many people, that's very important. My husband is a pastor, as I've mentioned. Many people call him first sometimes, and sometimes he's the only contact person they do have. Sometimes it's good to have your faith community leader around. And then helpful friends and their phone numbers. Again, some people have limited circles of contacts and information. Please make sure you have at least one helpful friend on there if you don't have family members. This is so important in an emergency room and an emergent situation. I cannot emphasize that. Okay. What I did last week was grab my driver's license ID and my insurance card and handed it to my husband. I think it's a great idea to, in your go bag, to have a copy of your driver's license. This just happens to be a sample driver's license in the state of North Carolina. It's really important. And believe me, when the registration person came around, well, when I walked in the door of the emergency room, I just handed those 2 cards to the registration person at the desk. And then when I was admitted to the hospital, I gave it to the registration person who came around. They were just scanned and entered into the system. So the other thing I brought was my medical insurance card. And this is just a sample. And they're usually 2-sided, right? The front information contains your identification, your ID for your health insurance, and the numbers and the coverage, etc. And then the back side has all the important phone numbers to call for prior authorizations, and insurance contact information. So I just provided that, and boom, it was done. So, and some of you, many of you in the country have these Blue Cross Blue Shields. These are just samples. So please bring a copy of your health insurance. And maybe it might be Medicaid. And here's a sample Medicaid card, much greatly enlarged, in the state of North Carolina. Now, each state in the country has a different Medicaid program, so your cards will look differently. Have a copy of it. And because on it, you'll want it to say not only your identification numbers, but the coverage dates. And these go month to month. Okay. It's important to have that with you. And if you're a Medicare recipient, and this should look familiar, bring a copy of your Medicare insurance card. And it'll tell you the dates effective of Medicare Part A, which is the hospitalization, and medical insurance coverage, which is Part B, and those might be different. So bring a copy of this with you. Under no circumstances, none whatsoever, should you bring your Social Security card to the hospital. Zero. Put it in a safe place. That should just stay in a safe place and not in your wallet or your purse. Do not bring your Social Security card, because I'll be honest, y'all, this stuff can get lost very easily. When my grandmother had a heart attack and she was residing with a friend, and the friend just called 911, and Grandma always had her little purse with her wallet. She was very neat and organized. Well, my grandmother died in the emergency room, and her wallet disappeared and had all of her cards in it. Now, interestingly, someone found it and dropped it in a mailbox, and it came back to us. There was no cash left in it, but all of her cards and information were there. Very interesting. Don't take your originals with you. Don't take your purse. Gentlemen, don't take your wallets with you. Take copies of this stuff. That's all you need. Okay? To protect yourselves. All right. Now, so those are the lists of things that I've gone over, and the identification cards. And now what we want to talk about are your directives, your healthcare directives. At this emergency room, I was asked if I had my own healthcare directives, and the answer is yes. Now, particularly if you're a solo ager, bring copies of these documents that I'm going to show to you. This is show and tell. Now, this first document is the durable power of attorney here in the state of North Carolina. It's just a power of attorney. This is the financial one. You can take a copy of that. Just leave it in your go bag. What's particularly important in any emergency room is, what are your wishes, particularly if you're really critically ill. You want to have a copy of your healthcare power of attorney. This is a form in the state of North Carolina. These are obtained from the Secretary of State's website, sosnc.gov. Have a copy of your healthcare power of attorney. It will list the name or names of who are your decision makers should you be unable to do that for yourself, and their contact information. So that's the healthcare power of attorney. And if you have what is called a living will in the state of North Carolina, it would be in a document called the Advance Directive for a Natural Death or a Living Will. That you should have a copy in there, because should you actually be at the end of life, this will express what your specific wishes are at end of life. And that's a whole different discussion. And some of you may have a document called 5 Wishes. 5 Wishes. This can serve not only as the healthcare power of attorney, but it's also a living will. And it's also very specific about certain wishes should you be at the end of life. How comfortable you want to be, how I want people to treat me, and what I want my loved ones to know. This is very customizable, and it's a whole discussion by itself. It's a wonderful document. Okay, so if you have 5 wishes, put a copy of this document in your go bag. All righty. Now, here are 2 documents for which you should not bring copies. They should be originals with you. And these are for the state of North Carolina. I'll start with the Do Not Resuscitate order. This is a medical order in the state of North Carolina. It has to be on this specific paper, this specific color paper, has to be printed with the colors you see there. It has to be signed by a physician, a physician's assistant, or a nurse practitioner. No one else can sign this, because this is a medical order that says, in the event that your heart stops beating or you stop breathing, that you do not wish to be resuscitated. If this is your wish, if you have one of these on your refrigerator, get some more originals. Put one in your go bag, put one in your glove box. Put one in, but they have to be originals. Those cannot be copies, all right, to be legally honored. And the other document, and this one is the one in North Carolina. And by the way, the DNRs may be other colors and so forth in other states, but that's the one for the North Carolina. And this is a form specific to the state of North Carolina where I live. And it's called a MOST form, Medical Orders for Scope of Treatment. You might hear them as other names in other states: POST, Physician's Orders for Scope of Treatment, or POLST, Physician's Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment, or MOLST, Medical Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment. And they're different colors and they're different categories. In the state of North Carolina, there are 5 categories. One is the resuscitation status. One is the extent of medical interventions. There are 3 options there. Antibiotics, whether you want them or not, 3 options there. And then medically administered IV fluids, 3 options. And medical nutrition via feeding tube, 3 options there. This must be signed by a physician, physician's assistant, or nurse practitioner for it to be legal. Yes, you have to sign it too, or your decision maker. And these are reviewed every year. If you have one of these, make sure you have an original. If it's on your refrigerator, great. Put an original in your go bag. Because if you're riding along in an ambulance and something happens to you and they don't have one of those documents in there, they will resuscitate you. They will do full-on interventions. And if that's not your wishes, they need to know what the medical orders for that. And I like to tease and say, it's our way of telling doctors what to do. Forgive me, my many, many physician friends, but they know I love them. So you have to have those 2 original forms. And sometimes it's good to put a few other things in your bag. Toiletries. I think that's a great idea. I didn't bring any toiletries with me last week to the emergency room, and I was admitted. So my dear husband came home and got toothbrush, toothpaste, dental floss, and some deodorant. Those were essential for me. So just keep them in a bag, ready to go. You can get these, travel samples, or you get these things from your dentist every 6 months if you go, or every 3 months. Keep those with you. Only other, and up until this point, I think these are essential items. Now anything else might be non-essential, but it might be helpful. Maybe a little Ziploc bag with some change, or some just not a lot of money. Do not bring a lot of money. But in case you need some snacks from a vending machine, or someone who's sitting with you might need some snacks from a vending machine, just leave it in there. Sometimes it might be helpful to have, I like word puzzles and so forth, puzzle book, or just a magazine. And I picked this one. It says Natural Healing, kind of a subliminal messaging. But something, or sometimes a book, whatever might be of help for you while you sometimes have a very lengthy wait in the emergency room. And I was really fortunate. I only had about a 3-hour stay in the emergency room. So that was great. So learn from what I did do right last week and learn from what I didn't do right. Okay. And just remember, at this point, the last thing that goes in your bag is just sitting in your closet somewhere, just in case you need it. But the last thing you put in there before you grab it and go out the door is your cell phone, if you have one. Okay. And honestly, if you have this, the emergency medical services providers, they don't mind bringing this with you. In fact, they're very, very, very much looking to see if these 2 forms exist. And if they do, they'll want to see them. And you may not come home with them, but that's okay. You can get more. And they definitely, if you have a cell phone, want to know if you have the ability to call others to help you. And they really, really, really are going to want to know if you have a list of medications and your allergies. Okay? Really helpful. Help the emergency medical services providers. They're trying to help us. So we want to help them make it easier to help us. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. I love sharing this. I shared it presentations. It's just a good idea to have something like this ready to go, and you may have something different. And I was able to craft this with the help of a former client who did use it. She crafted it, and the help of the various hospital liaisons we have at hospitals around here. But if you go online and look up an emergency bag for the emergency room or a go bag, most of these items come up on those lists too. Don't bring a lot. Some people have said, well, if you're diabetic, you might have other things to bring with you. And I absolutely understand that. Some of the equipment you might need. But just be prepared. All right? Okay. Wow. That was a lot. And I hope it was helpful. Join me next Monday, June the 29th at noon, when I have a special guest with me from Mountain Aging Partners here in North Carolina. And we're going to talk about adult daycare. In the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comments box. Call us at 866-466-9734, or please go to our website, which is fourseasonscare.org. Thank you very much and have a great Monday. Bye-bye.